CatSynth TV.
Hey everybody, CatSynth TV. And today we are mourning the passing of two musical heroes this past week, Manu Dibango and Krzysztof Penderecki. Like many others, I knew Dibango's music initially through the song Soul Makossa. It was after delving more seriously into the history of 1970s disco in 2010 that I rediscovered the song and its connection to early disco gatherings of New York, including David Mancuso's loft parties. It was a B-side of a single that Mancuso found, and it became an instant proto-disco hit. It also went on to be a major influence on R&B and funk, and of course found a regular rotation in my own playlist. Dibango was originally from Cameroon and came up in Central Africa's jazz scene, including African jazz in Kinshasa, Congo. Over the years, he has collaborated with other heroes of ours, including Fela Kuti and Herbie Hancock, with whom he recorded the album Electric Africa in the 1980s. I first became acquainted with the music of Krzysztof Penderecki while studying composition at Yale in the early 1990s, and even had the privilege of seeing him host a concert of his own music. The wild intensity of his 1960s compositions, including Threnody to the Victims of Hiroshima and Fluorescences with their starkly geometric graphical scores and loud tone clusters, would be a strong influence. His music was both an extension of and reaction to the modernism of the first half of the 20th century, taking the abstractions to the extreme and also kicking them aside to focus on beauty and emotional impact. His later composition veered away from those early wild experiments into a more neo-romantic direction, evoking earlier music traditions. The St. Luke Passion could be seen as a bridge between these phases of his career. One can also hear the transition in his own words. The avant-garde gave an illustration of universalism. The musical world of Stockhausen, Nono, Boulez, and Cage was for us a liberation. I was quick to realize, however, that this novelty, this experimentation, and formal speculation is more destructive than constructive. I realized the utopian quality of its Promethean tone. While I disagree with this perspective, it is perhaps the bridge to bring these two artists together beyond simply my own personal taste and trite statements about universality. There is a playful bombast in Dibango's growling saxophone and booming voice that can also be found in Penderecki's early works, even as the latter was darker and more anxious. Likewise, Penderecki embraced the American and Western European avant-garde as a reaction to the authorities and cultural strictures of 1950s and 60s Poland. There are parallels in the embrace of Soul Makossa and other proto-disco songs by the gay scene in New York in the early 1970s, and its proud defiance of traditional authority and norms. Manu Dibango passed away earlier this week due to complications of the COVID-19 disease. Penderecki passed away this weekend after a long illness. We extend our thoughts to their families and friends. Thanks for watching. Check out more at www.catsynth.com. And please subscribe to CatSynth TV.